I've been tracking my sleep for over 400 days. I wear a heart rate monitor, and what I've noticed is how sleep can affect my nervous system, which directly affects how I feel today. Not just the level of peace I feel and calmness, but also how clearly I think. The mind is a nervous system, so when my nervous system is shot, my mind becomes way more susceptible to feeling stressed, feeling frustrated, or whatever it might be, easily triggered by life and the circumstances that are going on. And so I've noticed over these 400 days that if I accumulate a couple nights of bad sleep, I'm not thinking as clearly. I'm way more easily triggered into a stressful state of mind because my nervous system is stressed out. What I want to talk about is the nervous system and its effect on the mind. What I've noticed over the years living my life, what happens with my body is I feel like my heart is being almost like my nervous system is wrapped around my heart and it's tightening it. That's what it feels like. And then what the heart rate monitor will say is my HRV score will drop down to a lower number. Those are like the two things I try to pay attention to while I'm waking up in the morning. And then obviously the amount of time slept matters too, but for me specifically, I can sleep 9 hours and still get a bad night's sleep and wake up and my nervous system still feels wrecked. So what's really helpful is the heart rate monitor. It just lets me know like, hey, I didn't go into a deep sleep, and the one number that all I need to know how my nervous system is doing is that HRV score. And for me, it's helpful just to try to understand what I wasn't aware of while I was sleeping, but now I'm aware of it because I woke up and I can see the information. So it's really useful, and it's definitely helped me come back to being more peaceful and prioritizing like sleep in order to have a peaceful, calm day with a clear mind. Sleep is one of the most important things. If we don't sleep, like as human beings, I think we only last like, what is it, like a week or something like that, where the mind literally starts going into hallucinations. So that just goes to show you, a week without sleep can start making you hallucinate. So imagine what a week of really, really great sleep would do. It will make my mind super clear, focused, alert, calm. It allows me to be present, at peace. And that's exactly what has happened to me. So I've noticed over these 400 days that sleep is directly impacting my ability to focus, have a clear mind, and be at peace. It allows me to handle stressful events much more fluently. Like I'm able to regulate my own emotions. 5 good nights of sleep actually it like amplifies the clarity and the peace, and 5 terrible nights of sleep will amplify the stress in the nervous system. And yeah, I mean, our mind is a nervous system, so it's directly affected, and it's the most sensitive part of our nervous system because the brain is an organ and it's so many nerves connecting. And the reason I'm saying this is because I'm trying to understand personally how to live a life at peace, connected in this moment. I'm trying to understand my mind, and this has been one of the things that I've noticed where my body is affecting my mind. And that's what I'd like to talk more about in this video. I have more things I've recognized where my body's affecting my mind, and I want to talk about that after I do my stretching throughout the day today. I like doing my stretching right here because the carpet is nice and soft. So I'm going to start off with the hamstring stretch. This hamstring stretch is different than what I normally do, but I think it's called a pancake stretch or something like that. It's a progression into getting the hips to be fully open, and that's why I'm doing it today. Not only does stretching like relax the nervous system, but also it allows the muscles to align the spine into the correct position, so the nerves aren't being pinched or restricted. When you stretch and you allow your body to get into the right position, like the spine into the right position or your arms into the right position, whatever it might be, then it allows the nerves to not be pinched. The strength of a muscle could be so strong that it's pulling the skeletal system into a position that's unnatural or not the most efficient, and then the spine could be pinched at a certain point where it's not able to function fully. I've noticed that stretching has helped me feel more relaxed. Even sometimes when I stretch before sleep, it helps me go to sleep. This quad stretch right there is really good because it just allows me to fully relax into the position, and because it's stretching both legs at the same time, I can really sit into it for a long time, because some of the other stretches only work on one leg at a time, which then only allows me to focus on, I stretch it for maybe 3 minutes each side. But when I can get into a position where both legs are being stretched at the same time, then I can stay into the position for 6 minutes for both legs. It's like I can breathe deeper after stretching. Everything already feels like it's functioning in a better way. You ever notice like a baby? They're so flexible. In like a older person, like they sometimes can't even separate their legs to walk. I feel like flexibility is in itself a reflection of how old you are. Okay, so now I'm gonna go work out, and today is back and biceps. Okay, so I'm gonna do back and biceps, but I want to talk about what I've noticed from a standpoint of working out and like stress and my nervous system, because every time after my workout, and especially after I run, I feel like I'm able to sit, I'm able to lay, I'm able to focus actually, like really clearly on something, and I feel content like for a long period of time afterwards. And I remember reading somewhere that like a horse, every time a horse is stressed out, the way that it manages its stress is it starts running, and it like clears out whatever stress is going on within the horse. And so I feel like every time I run, especially running, it does like the same thing. It allows me to feel more relaxed. For instance, like something you could try out right now is like just flex your hand as tight as you can, like squeeze it as tight as you can, and do this for about 60 seconds, and then after let go, and you can feel the relaxation more than previously felt. So that's why working out in itself is like a relaxation exercise once it's over, and so it's like the opposite of what you want, right? To create the tension almost allows my body to go into more relaxation, like a deeper relaxation. And so that's definitely something I've noticed from working out, and how it affects my nervous system. And I've also noticed that when I work out during the day, my HRV score when I sleep, when I wake up in the morning, is more consistently better versus not doing a workout at all and then going to sleep, and then I wake up and it's usually worse. That is something I have noticed. Alright, so I'm doing back and biceps today, and I'm just trying to focus on making sure whatever I'm doing, I'm going to my absolute limit. I don't want to be able to do one more rep, because if I can still do another rep, that means I haven't reached my fullest capacity, my fullest limit. My strength won't be improved until I reach the point where I'm hitting the limit of my muscle. And so that's always what I like to remind myself while I'm working out, is it doesn't necessarily matter how much weight. What matters is doing the exercise until I can no longer do it. And then it's just finding the weight where you don't have to do the exercise for 20 minutes just to hit the limit. So I'm gonna stick with the basics and start off with pull-ups. These bands are literally my favorite thing. Out of all the weights I've ever bought, they do more for my muscles than any weight could. I don't know what it is, if it's like the tension, because as I lift them higher, the weight increases, and I feel like that's where my muscle is the strongest, is at the top of the exercise. Or like, for instance, these bicep curls, once I'm at the very top, that's where my muscle is the strongest, but that's also where the band is the heaviest. And when I'm at the bottom, the band's the least amount of tension, and that's also where my biceps are the weakest. I almost wish I had like the inverse of that. Well, the inverse of that is weights, actually. So if I were to hold weights with the band, then I would be having the heaviest part at the bottom of the weights and the lightest part at the top, and then I would have the heaviest at the top with the bands and the lightest at the bottom with the bands. So that would be like the perfect exercise, is to hold weights while holding a band to the weight. Oh my gosh, Dad, he's so hard. That is so hard, because this isn't even like heavy either. This is the lighter band, and this is only like lightweight. That's genius. Yeah, I would definitely recommend trying that. It is really windy today, so I don't know how it's gonna turn out on my run, but we're about to find out. So I just got back from my run, and the waves in the ocean are so strong right now. It's actually incredible. I've noticed food affecting my stress levels, directly affecting my nervous system, much like sleep and exercise. And how I've noticed food is affecting me is if it's creating inflammation. So foods I've noticed that personally affect me and cause inflammation are if I eat too much sugar, if I eat something that has too much gluten, or unhealthy fats, or even if it's burnt fat, like if something's fried or if something is like burnt, that will cause inflammation. And when once my body is like creating inflammation from whatever I ate, or it could also be like a gut. I've noticed that like if my bacteria is out of balance and something's going on inside of my stomach, then that also can cause inflammation and issues. And so when inflammation is being caused inside of my digestive tract, I notice that then my nervous system also feels very stressed out. So that's why I always like to pay attention to see, like, how is this food affecting me? But sometimes the effects don't happen for like an hour or so. Main thing that I notice is my fingers actually start to swell up a little bit, like pretty quickly actually. With sugar, I noticed that, like, I actually start to get a little bit like shaky specifically, and in it feels like my mind is racing when I eat too much sugar. But anyways, I've noticed that food is directly affecting my nervous system. So this is basically how the body is affecting the mind, right? And we talked about sleeping, we talked about working out and exercising, and now we're talking about food. The last piece of the puzzle is that the mind, I've noticed my mind is able to create the stress. Like, if I'm recalling memories from the past that creates worry in this moment, like, is that going to happen again? Or if I'm worrying about the future and what might happen, or if something, just basically recalling memories and then worrying about if it's going to be replayed, essentially. And that in itself can create stress, because they've already done scientific studies that prove that the mind can basically create the stress of a real event without that event actually happening. Like if a dog were to like bite you, right? Then there's like a lot of like stress involved with that, and like it's like you go into a panic and everything. But they found out that after the fact, our minds can create the stress later on, like next week. We can have the same stress response as when the dog bit you. But then that goes into subtler things like not having friends around and how that makes you feel, and or like the stress inside of workplace, and you felt stressful yesterday or last week, and then that stress shows up while you're driving into work, or it just basically the past can be replayed into the present moment, even though it's not the same moment and that's not happening. And so that's how the mind can create a stressed out nervous system, so that we're not at peace. There's a saying that I heard a while ago that was like, the mind can create health, but it also can create sickness. And I think that is true. The mind can create a sick body, and I've definitely noticed that within myself as well. So these are just the things that I've picked up on just by living my life and noticing like what's happening with me. And ultimately, all I'm trying to do is just be here now, present, at peace, without any fear, stress, or worry. It's amazing how much the body can affect the mind while I'm trying to just have a clear mind and focus and be at peace. Sometimes just not bringing up memories from the past or being worried about the future and what might unfold. If that's not happening, sometimes one of these things like being stationary, not working out for an extended period of time, not getting good enough sleep, right? Because the exercise actually helped me get better sleep. And then the eating, if I eat too late at night, that doesn't allow me to get a good sleep. So then there's this cycle of like these things, this sleep and exercise and what I eat are also playing into the stress that I'm feeling in this moment that my mind is attached to, right? I am this body. I'm not separate from it. So how I take care of it is how I feel. I was actually just reading something to see if there was any studies done on emotional regulation and sleep and eating and working out. And basically, when all of these things are promoting calmer nervous system, like good sleep, working out, which is like exercising the nervous system, to stressing it out and then relaxing it, and then with the diet to not be in a stressful state of being, it allows for actually a higher capacity to have an emotional regulated body. So when the outside environment or people are creating stress, like they're bringing, say someone's bringing a stressful situation to you, I will more likely be able to handle that stressful situation because I'm already so emotionally regulated. I'm already exercising my capacity to be emotionally stable. It's just all coming down to being able to be present now, at peace, to be able to focus and be creative and interested in life and see the beauty that is here now. So those are the things that I've picked up on over the years. I hope you appreciate this video while I'm learning how to live a life with love and connection, understanding how fear is blocking me from living now at peace. And that is what I'm doing. So I will see you tomorrow. Make sure to leave a comment if you resonate with what I'm sharing today and find meaning in it. Then I just appreciate you sharing whatever you've learned in your life that has helped you have a calmer nervous system